Imagine a game that goes beyond the typical Western-centric focus. A game that dives head first into diverse cultures, thereby creating a truly global experience. From the minds behind PUBG, InZOI is ready to challenge the status quo. With its focus on player freedom and community-driven content, it could redefine what we expect from life simulation games. And with features like karma systems and dream mechanics, it's promising a level of depth and customization that we have never seen, not even from The Sims. We're talking diverse characters, global perspectives, and gameplay that is way out of the ordinary. InZOI is promising to redefine what it means to live a virtual life. With its innovative features and commitment to inclusivity, InZOI could be the breath of fresh air the genre needs. Are you ready to jump into this new world? Let's go. So before we get into what's got me and everyone else so excited, let me take a moment to tell you exactly what InZOI is. Developed by Krafton, a South Korean developer who is best known for their game PUBG, InZOI offers a familiar yet innovative gameplay experience where players manage the lives of their characters, known as ZOIs, by attending to their basic needs and aspirations, similar to the Sims series. Because it's a life simulation game set in a customizable world, InZOI is generating huge interest within the life simulation community, particularly among fans of The Sims 4. Understandably, there are quite a few unique features that have captured the attention of the Sims community. These include an emotive mood system, a karma-based reputation system, and an extensive customization options in both character creation and home building. The game allows players to create highly personalized environments, offering tools like AI-generated textures, which is both controversial and very hit or miss, and the ability to mix and match furniture elements. So why are Simmers so excited about this game? The excitement lies in its potential to offer a fresh alternative to The Sims 4 with its realistic graphics, innovative gameplay mechanics, and cultural diversity, as it plans to include cities based on different global locations. The Sims has basically been the only life simulation game of its kind for the past 20 years, and while some Sims players express skepticism about whether InZOI can replace The Sims, others are excited about the new experiences and creative possibilities that InZOI promises. Will the promises that Krafton have given for this game be fulfilled, or will InZOI bomb like all the other Sims-like wannabes before it? I mean, we're talking about a game that's promising realistic graphics, deep customization, a karma-based reputation system, a dream system that influences gameplay, mod support, allowing us to create and share custom content quickly and easily. That alone makes me think, wow. But that's not all. We can create avatars known as ZOIs, and navigate their lives by choosing how they work, socialize, and interact with their environment. It's like The Sims, but much more realistic and allegedly a lot more immersive. InZOI is aiming to shake up the life simulation genre with its open world, its focus on player choice, and its promise of a more immersive experience. What's more is that InZOI's developers have been emphasizing that the cultural diversity in the game will be via user feedback, aiming to create a relatable experience for a global audience. This approach, coupled with its unique gameplay mechanics, makes me super interested in what the game might deliver once it's fully released. One thing is certain, it's an ambitious project, and it's got me excited to see how it stacks up against the reigning champ, The Sims 4. But will it be able to dethrone EA? Can it offer something truly new and exciting? Well, so far, the devs have promised several features that distinguish it from other life simulation games. We're talking about being able to drive cars, take part in activities with our ZOI's friends, and a world that reacts to your choices. From building your dream home to shaping the city around you, InZOI is giving you the keys to your own virtual world. The ability to shape your environment, build your reputation via the karma system, and experience life in a more connected way sounds super awesome and exactly what we've all been wishing for. So does this sound like a lot? There's even more. With the city edit mode, we'll be able to control things like billboards, weather, and how clean our ZOI's city is, just to start off with. Talk about playing God. And with the studio and photo mode, we'll be able to create high-resolution images to share with others, which is something we're used to in The Sims, so it's nice to see something similar in InZOI. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Creating a game that appeals to everyone is a huge challenge. InZOI is taking a big risk by trying to represent loads of different cultures. This is something that they're gonna need to be really careful with, especially since most of the devs have never set foot outside of South Korea. It's gonna be interesting to see how they handle it. Now, according to the devs, they're gonna be actively engaging with players during early access, which is coming later in 2024 or 2025, in order to incorporate feedback into the game's development. Now, they have held their hands up and admitted that they struggle understanding diverse cultural perspectives and are going to be using early access as a way to address this by listening to player feedback. Personally, I think that the fact that they are willing to take on user feedback is awesome, but I know what some gamers can be like, so I really hope that they listen to the right groups of people and ignore those few who are against diversity and inclusion. With everyone's eyes on them, can the devs make InZOI live up to all this hype? I really hope so, but considering the hype letdown cycle with The Sims 4, I'm taking everything that everyone has said about this game with a grain of salt the size of my head until I can get my hands on the full version and see for myself. InZOI is definitely shaking things up. With its realistic graphics and innovative features, it's got the potential to be a game changer in the life simulation genre. But can it really challenge The Sims? Now, it is clear that InZOI is aiming to push the boundaries. The graphics are stunning. I have a mid to high level PC with a 12th gen i7 1270 processor, 64 gigs of RAM, a GeForce RTX 3060 Ti, and an SSD, and was able to run the demo at the highest quality levels without any problems, although my computer did sound like it was trying to take off. I think I'm probably going to have to bump down the quality settings when the game is fully released in order to run it on my PC. Also, InZOI offers a ton of customization. After playing the character creation demo for about an hour, I had created a pretty decent and detailed version of myself in the game, which you've been watching me create all this time. And the trait system allowed me to choose a personality type for myself, which doesn't exactly match who I am, but it comes kinda close. And from what I've seen from the more popular content creators who have been given advanced early access to the game, the depth of gameplay is impressive, with features like the director mode, which allows players to control various aspects of the environment, such as weather and street decor, and the karma and dream systems, which influence character interactions and life events based on past actions, adding a whole new layer of depth to the full version of the game. But it's not just about the bells and whistles. InZOI seems genuinely committed to creating a game that reflects the real world. From diverse characters to a focus on community, they're trying to do things differently. They claim that they're going to use early access to take feedback and make changes to the game based on the feedback they receive, and from what I've seen so far, they're doing it right, with an official Discord and active YouTube channel. And they actually interact with the users on both, which is really good to see. Paying attention to and actively gathering feedback from players could foster a strong interactive community, which could help ensure the future of InZOI. But let's not get carried away here. The game is still in development, and there are some potential challenges. It's going to take some time to get used to all the new mechanics for us players, and the complexity might overwhelm some. Personally, I found the character creation itself to be quite easy to pick up. However, I did find the family tree screen a bit confusing when I wanted to exit the game for the first time. Subsequent playthroughs, I got to grips with the UI system a little bit more, but that first time might be enough to turn some people off. The trait system, while interesting, is not customizable. Basically, you're stuck with whatever traits and behaviors your chosen personality archetype has. That's a bit of a problem for me, because even though I chose the activist archetype, not all of the traits, personality aspects, and behaviors attached to it match with my actual personality. During my demo playthrough, I noticed that there's a sexuality and gender identity mechanic which is currently grayed out and labeled as being under development. Based on what I could see in the demo, I'm a little bit concerned that it's going to be too binary. So far, there are options for male, female, and non-binary under both the gender identity and sexuality sections. It seems that non-binary is being treated as a third gender, and the sexuality choices reflect this, with players having the option to choose one, two, or all three options. Due to this mechanic still being in development, it's unsure whether we can create Zois who are totally asexual. That is, if we can untake all three options under the sexuality section, or if we have to choose at least one. Also, it's unclear whether we'll be able to choose a gender which is the opposite of our body frame, or whether we'll be able to have our male frame Zois wear feminine clothing, and our feminine framed Zois wear more traditionally masculine clothing. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see, but I do hope that the gender and sexuality mechanics end up being a bit more fleshed out, so to speak, with more options to choose from. For example, I would love to be able to have a feminine frame Zoi with zero chest, in other words, trans male with a feminine frame who's had top surgery, like you can have in The Sims now, and be able to wear masculine clothing without having any problems with clothing or body parts clipping through clothing. From other diversity and inclusion angles, so far the game is, well, rather lacking. While you can give your Zois literally any skin tone, there is zero Middle Eastern or African clothing, or, well, really anything that isn't Western. Same thing goes for the hair, and that's really a shame, because Simmers have been begging for diverse characters and diverse cultures within The Sims for literal decades. This could have been a way for InZOI to really set themselves apart from the start. Hopefully, though, they'll rectify this before the game is released. Finally, let's be honest. Not everyone has a good enough computer to be able to handle the level of graphics that this game has, and if your PC meets the minimum requirements, you are still going to struggle, as well as miss out on the high-end settings. There have been quite a few comments on the Steam forums and over on the InZOI Discord from people who have been trying to play the demo, but couldn't because their computers, while meeting the minimum specs, still aren't powerful enough to run it. Ultimately, InZOI's success will depend on how well it balances innovation with accessibility, player expectations and desires, and how engaging the actual gameplay ends up being. It definitely has the potential to help usher in a new future of life simulation games, but if they don't strike the right balance, it could flare up like a match and burn out just as fast. Now, real quick, I want to get into the uncanny valley aspect of the ZOIs and the InZOI character creation studio. I love the hyper-realisticness, if that's a word, of the ZOIs, but anything beyond their base expression is so uncanny valley that it's freaky, to be honest with you, and does not look right at all. So I'm really hoping that they get that fixed. Also, let's delve into a little bit of the AI situation. Now, Krafton, the developers, have admitted that there is AI within InZOI, as in generative AI. And there's a huge controversy going on about whether generative AI has a place within video games. Now, personally, I believe that AI has a use. It can be used as a tool and should be used as a tool, but there are good ways to use AI and bad ways to use AI. And within InZOI, they're using generative AI so that you can create your own patterns for your clothing. While I can see the usefulness of generative AI in this instance, because developers and game artists aren't going to be able to create literally everything that you might want. But, there's always a but, generative AI does use real artists' work to create the images that you get. In some instances, with generative AI, it pretty much directly copies an artist's work. It's not derivative in some instances. In other words, it is a direct one-to-one copy, which I am against. It's one thing using artwork as a reference so that you can create your own thing, but unless you're studying art to learn how to draw, you shouldn't be directly copying from someone else's work, especially if you're going to then sell it, which is basically what Krafton is doing here. Add to that the fact that they have admitted that they are using AI in their games in order to save money so that they don't have to pay staff and developers and artists to create things in the game. That to me just feels wrong and bad. So I don't agree with them using generative AI in the game for the reason that they have stated. Pay an artist. You know, I can live, and I'm sure you all can live, without having thousands or millions of different images at our fingertips, if it means that 3 or 4 artists are going to be hired and are going to have jobs, you know? But let's move on about what the experts have to say about InZOI. Hyungjun Kim from Krafton, the devs behind the game, has been honest about the challenges of creating a globally relatable experience. He admits that creating a game that resonates with everyone globally isn't easy, saying that a big problem with this is the fact that the devs lack insights into the different cultures around the world because most of them have never lived outside of South Korea. But it seems that they're committed to making it happen. We can only hope, however, that they do this the right way by taking advice and opinions from people who actually live in the different cultures that they're wanting to represent, instead of using people who, like myself, are white and live in the UK or the US and have virtually no experience of the cultures. It just makes sense. So content creator Datura Plays, who had super early access to InZOI, including the gameplay features, is super excited about the level of customization and realism that InZOI is bringing to the table, calling it a breakthrough for the life simulation genre. And the Sims community, they're divided. Some are sticking completely with The Sims, but many are intrigued by what InZOI has to offer, myself included, even though I don't agree with some of the decisions that they've made. But then again, I don't agree with some of the decisions that EA and Maxis have made regarding The Sims 4, and I'm still playing it. You can disagree with the devs and the publisher and still enjoy the game after all. With ultra-realistic graphics, an open world, and choices galore in both customization and gameplay, it's clear that InZOI has captured the imagination of players. Whether it can truly shake up the life simulation world remains to be seen. But one thing is for certain. With the game releasing in early access later this year or early next year, it is definitely one to keep your eyes on. And let's be honest, the fact that there were several million people who downloaded the InZOI creation demo speaks loads. So, my friends, have you played InZOI's character creation demo? Tell me what you think of it in the comments below, and if you want to learn more about life simulation games and their history, I've got just the video for you. Click here to watch it, and I'll see you over there.